Welcome to the Dynamic Soccer Coaching Substack. This is part 3 in a series called Defining Your Game Model. In part 1, we defined a game model as a coach's idea or ideas for how we want our teams to play, and then we talked about 3 different types of game models. In part 2, we made a distinction between 2 concepts. On the one hand, we have a game model, and then on the other hand, we have the game itself. And then we defined the game itself as the interactions between the bots, or the ball, the objective, the teams, and the space. Today, in part 3, I want to show us a way that we can organize our game model ideas, regardless of the style of game model or the content in our game model. Here we go. When we think about defining our game models, it's important that we think clearly about the concept of the team. After all, our game model ideas are how we want our teams to play soccer. And we want to set our teams up for success. So, like we talked about last week, we need to base our game model ideas off of the objective reality of the game. But, like we're going to talk about this week, we also need to connect those game model ideas to the real players that we have in front of us. And striking this balance can be a challenge because we want our ideas to be comprehensive enough that they cover the whole game, but also simple enough so that they're sensible to the players that we have. With that in mind, here is a tool that we can use to organize and maybe even prioritize our game model ideas so that they're both comprehensive and connect to the game and sensible and connect to the players. It's a 3-step framework. Step 1 is called game ideas. Step 2 is called team intentions. And step 3 is called player interactions. With this 3-step framework, regardless of our preferred style of game model or whatever content we want in the actual ideas in our game model, this framework helps us organize those ideas in a way where it will connect to the game and to our players. Here's how it works. The first step in our framework is game ideas, because our game models need to be connected to the reality of the game. Our game ideas are like the big picture. They may be our values or our vision for how we think the game ought to be played. In many ways, our game ideas are going to be abstract. But by using this 3-step framework, we can take these abstract game ideas and still communicate them in clear ways to our players. I think it's best to have between 3 and 5 game ideas, with each of those ideas relating to one of the fundamental elements of the game, either the ball or the teams or the space. I'm just going to take it for granted that by having a game model at all, we're always trying to achieve the objective, which means to win. If we have less than 3 game ideas, I'm not sure we can be comprehensive and cover the whole game. But if we have more than 5 game ideas, I think that's probably a little too complicated to be made sense of by our players. Using positional play as a kind of guide, which would make this a style-based game model, here are 3 examples of game ideas that we might use. Number 1, our first game idea might be qualitative superiority, which would relate to the ball. Number 2, our second game idea might be numerical superiority, which would relate to the teams. And then number 3, our third game idea might be positional superiority, which would, of course, relate to the space. With these 3 game ideas, we have one relating to the ball, one relating to the teams, and one relating to the space, which means this would be a pretty good way to start a game model, because these game ideas just are comprehensive enough to relate to the whole game. Once we have our game ideas in place, we can move on to the second step of our framework, which is team intentions. Simply put, team intentions are the ways in which our team will apply the game ideas. Put another way, the game ideas are abstract, and we want to make them visible, and our team intentions are the way that we do that. Practically speaking, this means 2 things. First, when we talk about our team intentions, we're going to use more concrete language than we did when we were talking about our game ideas. And then second, we really only need one team intention for each game idea. To show what I mean, let me use the 3 game ideas that we talked about earlier, and then I'll describe a team intention for each one. The first game idea I used earlier was qualitative superiority. That is a very abstract idea. So to describe it in more concrete language, I might say something like, in order to create qualitative superiority, in order to apply our game idea, we play 1v1 or 2v2 when our strongest players on the team are directly matched up against the opponent's weaker players. That is our team intention. That's the way that we're going to try to apply our game idea of qualitative superiority. Or our second idea of numerical superiority. Our team intention for that idea might be something like, we overload midfield in the build-up phase of attack and in the mid-block phase of defense. Again, a little bit more concrete language than just the abstract idea of numerical superiority. Or third, positional superiority was our third game idea. Our team intention for positional superiority might be something like, we play between and behind opposition lines whenever possible to find the free player. So, our team intentions are a little more concrete than our game ideas. They basically describe how we intend to apply our game ideas as we play. And in that way, our team intentions are connected to the objective reality of the game. But our team intentions are also connected in the other direction to the players we have in front of us through step 3 in our framework, which is player interactions. Player interactions are the technical actions that players must execute as they play. And I call them interactions because these actions must be understood in light of our game ideas and our team intentions. Technique does not exist in a vacuum. There's really no way to say what a good first touch is without reference to the player's teammates and the space and the player's opponents, or whether that first touch sets them up to achieve our team intentions. That may sound controversial, and it may be a little confusing as well. But when it comes down to it, technique is not an end in itself. It's merely a means or a tool that we can use to serve team intentions and tactical ends. Here's what that looks like in our 3-step framework. I'm going to break down player interactions into 3 categories. The first category is universal, so that's going to apply to all players at all times. The second category is going to be the first player. That will be the player with the ball in attack or the player closest to the ball in defense. And then the third category will be the second/third players, which will be the players around the ball or away from the ball, whether we're in attack or defense. The universal player actions are always going to be these 3 things. Number 1, scanning the field. Number 2, body shape or body profile. And number 3, the ability to use both feet. The player interactions for the first player are always going to be these: receive, pass, dribble, and shoot when we have the ball, and then press, delay, and tackle when we don't have the ball. And then the player interactions for the second and third player are always going to be these: show and stay and move in attack, and then cover, step, and drop in defense. These actions or interactions, as I'm calling them, really only have objectively good value if they contribute to our team intention, which is another way of saying as we try to apply our game idea. In other words, simply put, what it means for a player to pass the ball in a moment where we're trying to create qualitative superiority, maybe when we're playing 1v1 or 2 versus 2, that kind of pass just is going to be radically different than a kind of pass when we're trying to create numerical superiority or play 2 versus 1. So, again, even though all these player interactions listed are the same, they're really not. What controls and dictates the kind of interaction each player should have is the game idea or the team intention itself. So there's the three-step framework. We start with game ideas, which are pretty abstract, and they are our kind of values or vision for how we think the game should be played. And then we move to team intentions, which describe in concrete terms how we try to apply our game ideas as we play. And then third and finally, we move to the player interactions, which really are just the technical actions that players must do in light of the team intentions and the game ideas. Using this framework, here are some practical questions that you can ask yourself as you begin to define your game model. Number one, what are your 3 to 5 game ideas? Make sure that each one of them can relate to either the ball or the teams or the space. Number 2, what are your team intentions? Make sure here that you have one intention per game idea. And then finally, number 3, what are your preferred player interactions? Make sure that these interactions are seen in the light of the team intentions and the game ideas, and you won't go wrong. In this way, this three-step framework connects our game model not only to the objective reality of the game itself, but also to the players that we have in front of us. Well, thanks for reading or thanks for watching this week. I'm looking forward to the rest of this series. I hope you are as well. Thanks again to everyone who's reached out with kind words. I'll see you all next week.